Hi, I'm Toby, and welcome to the first episode of the Sports Minority Report. I'm going to read this one instead of just talking about stuff, so the first episode's not going to be as great as the next few episodes will be. But I'm trying to explain what I'm trying to do. We're mostly going to talk about the business of sports here, but this is not your typical conference league show. Um, why should what I say interest you at all? Well, because I have a different perspective than most of the creators you've listened to on realignment. I've read probably 80% of all realignment articles published since 1989. I have some perspective that, frankly, most of the other creators do not have. Why does the Sports Minority Report exist? Well, it started off as a blog, and I created it because I read these realignment articles and watched the videos, and there were glaring issues that weren't addressed or questions that weren't being asked. I mean, just really simple, basic stuff. There are things that they hint at in some of these reports, and they never follow up on them, and it just makes me crazy. I'm like, what? How can you skip that? I have questions, and I'm going to ask them. Um, while I've covered rumors and leaks and what they mean for realignment for years, as Toby writes on early Bleacher Report as their only realignment writer, getting great access to people like former WAC and Sunbelt Commissioner Carl Benson, by the way, is an awesome freaking dude. Um, I was never into interviewing folks. Other people enjoy interviews, let them do it. I hate figuring out you being steered for PR purposes. That just makes me crazy. Just be straight with me. There are reporters like John Wilmer and John Canzano who report what they're told and are worth listening to as reporters to get the basic lay of what the universities want to reveal. I'm generally not as engaged by the locked on folks in general on realignment issues, as they have to produce daily content, so their realignment content often seems rushed and uneven to me. Now those guys are absolute sports junkies, and they can tell you who'll win a division in football or what a team's third team quarterback looks like, but realignment is clearly not what they generally discuss. But everyone is chasing viewership, and I'm not going to hate on folks for throwing out a mediocre realignment piece with an exciting headline as they chase the payouts. But spotty realignment coverage is not only inherent to them. Pretty much anyone on Facebook who produces daily content has done some suspect realignment shows. I heard one video advocating the PAC do some entertaining and risky things in realignment, only to hear them struggling with remembering who the current PAC commissioner was before triumphantly injecting that it was Larry Scott. Come on, guys. 365 Sports throws out some interesting opinions here and there in their shows. They can be frustrating, though, because sometimes they talk about the potatoes too much and only hint at the meat of the realignment story. They recently hinted at a last-minute potential PAC betrayal of Texas State. Now, this story sounds crazy. I don't even know how the PAC could betray Texas State. Then they proceed not to discuss it. Do they see the meat in that story? I don't know yet. But there are a lot of other realignment voices on YouTube that are also worth listening to. The Big Mountain guys produce great shows and have contacts they so gently milk for information. They process the information via their own filters, which I respect, but they hit me more like the realignment bloggers of the past, where as hard as they could ever work their sources, they may not have the right sources to get the right answers. Or maybe they do. I don't know. I'm still evaluating their analyses. What I can say is they do an excellent job of giving the lay of the land. Excellent. Really top notch. There is a guy, an infamous guy, called Genetics, who seems to have a lot of impressive, very detailed information. A lot more than most people. He's kind of an information dump guy. He has critics in the community. Some are quite harsh with him. I do not ever intend to be harsh with him. You can have a lot of great and accurate information, but it may not ultimately be the information that is used to make the realignment decision. I have no reason to doubt he's heard what he reports, and I enjoy his perspective. but I don't trust his conclusions as much as some of the others. Bill, that college football guy, produces some of the best content online, straight up. He is simply very plugged in with sources from a lot of regions. He's an SEC area guy, but he has ties way beyond that. He's a truck driver and travels all across the country talking to people. I think with the exception of his takes on Stanford and Cal, he seems to have a great grasp on universities and conferences all across the country. I'm really impressed with his work. He really loves what he's doing, and it comes through in his content. He's a very measured and disciplined thinker. I cannot recommend his show on YouTube highly enough. Again, it's that college football guy. There's a new kid on YouTube who I think is fantastic. His name is Will. He goes by the name the Collegiate Athletics Advocate, which is kind of an interesting name. He thinks like a realignment guy and makes sensible presentations. You should keep your eye out for him. He's brand new and he's really, really good. So, another guy. Another guy on YouTube you should follow is a guy named Deluxe. He produces really high quality histories of and alternate histories for various conferences. He did one on Joe Paterno's proposed Northeastern Conference. His content is very well made and always entertaining. He's really a quality producer. Finally, there's the GOAT, Greg Flugar of YouTube's Peek Around the Corner. His run of calling realignment the last 4 years is simply unmatched. I've followed realignment voraciously since the mid-1980s. No one's ever had a better run, ever. Chip Brown likely had the lost Dodds feeding him information for 6 months, and he was nowhere near as accurate as the GOAT. Mr. Flugar has figured out exactly who to talk to in regards to a university or conference to get a non-BS answer about realignment. He has crystal clear insight into the Big Ten and has figured out who to ask in other conferences as well. The most frustrating thing about his show is that he knows a ton more than he lets on, so he can protect his sources and deliver the big breaking stories that have made his reputation. I find myself shaking my fist at him as I watch a lot of his shows. I'm like, pony up the good stuff, Flugar. But he has his blind spots too. Like any guy who is influenced heavily by Big Ten sources, he thinks Notre Dame is 1,000 times more fragile than they are. No one is perfect, although Flugar is pretty damn close. And there are more skilled folks doing interviews and hanging on every word from an athletic director, but that's not what I do. They are rarely the decision makers anymore, and often are there running interference, even if they know the plan. Sometimes they don't. Remember when UT joined the SEC and no one told the Texas A&M athletic director? The poor guy thought his school had aligned with other SEC schools to block UT from ever gaining admission. I listen to the rumors, but more I look for the things people say that maybe they shouldn't. And we talk about those ideas and what they mean based on previous realignments that I've seen. I've always been frustrated hearing athletic directors obfuscate their school's realignment plans or actively lie to your face. After one of the worst conversations I've ever had with an athletic director, I decided, screw this getting lied to or steered business. I'm just going to break down what they inadvertently reveal. For a few years, I tried taking my conclusions directly to schools or conferences when they're on the verge of catastrophe. I've had very little luck there because why would they listen to a realignment nerd? They have a whole cast of athletic department employees who've gone to school to develop the skill sets to run athletic departments. The answer is because every athletic department works for specific targeted goals, and I would argue inherently suffers from groupthink because of this. So now I just ask these questions and follow these thoughts to their conclusions for your infotainment, the fans. Ultimately, if I'm making a sensible argument, one of you with a lot more sway than I have will bring it up to your university president or a member of the regents, and they will talk about it. Everything that we discuss is my opinion on what seems to be going on. I could be wrong. I will be at times. Before Mr. Flugar convinced me with his show, I never thought the pack would fall apart. Years prior to that, I remember Kent Hance, a huge name in Texas politics, saying that UT and A&M appeared tied at the hip, that A&M would never politically be able to leave the Big 12 without UT. I took that as gospel. I mean, it was Kent Hance, man. And then the Aggies skillfully pricked the state of Texas-sized ego of former UT athletic director DeLoss Dodds. They stuck it to him really hard in the media. Dodds publicly proclaimed UT would be fine without A&M, basically daring A&M to go to the SEC, implying they would come back defeated. A&M was able to sneak out the door before Dodds realized he'd been played like a fiddle. I was wrong on both of these instances. Like every other realignment guy, I've been wrong a lot of times, but I've also been right a lot. But this show is not about worrying about being proven right or wrong. The show is about digging deeper. It's about asking questions, asking the bigger questions that no one else is talking about. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please subscribe. That will get you notifications when I publish more stuff. And also click like. Like does something entirely different. If enough people like this, it will show the video to more viewers. So if you like what I have to say, I'll make more. Thank you very much.